Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Lack of social skills is hurting many men. I'm gonna tell you what, and I've talked about this before, but this is something I'm seeing over and over. Because you get a lot of guys, of course you got whole sections of this sector thinking, oh, well, they don't look like Chad, they don't look like Tyrone, that's why they're not getting any women. And then, of course, you still got the money guys. Or they thinking, oh, I'm losing it out to those bad boys, those thugs, everything like that. And actually, to me, like I said, all that's a code. I'm gonna tell you what, and this is something I've seen over the decades. I didn't need some study to see it, like actually being out here. Actually just watching, whether it's being at clubs, being in public places, just knowing the players. Because one of the biggest differences I've seen between men who are able to get women on a consistent basis, whether they players or they can get steady relationships, and guys who have trouble, is quite frankly, social skills with women. Indeed, I remember I did a video talking about, men taking an initiative and engaging women. I had pushback from the guys. And that told me they had poor social skills, and they were talking about stuff. Yeah, some guys talking about stuff like Me Too and all that. That's because you didn't have good social skills. You tried to, part of social skills is not just communication, but knowing who to communicate with and how to look at, how to talk to them, how to even read them. Because sometimes some guys will try to talk to a woman and they think they spitting some game and she's totally ignoring them. And she got a look on her face like, please get out of my face. And the guy's still going. That's a social skill right there, just being able to read the person that you're dealing with. Because there's been times I've talked to some women and, called myself getting my rap on, but they were like, I was like, you know what, you have a good day. That's part of it. And see, that's hurting a lot of men. A lot of men don't have those social skills. Indeed, if they, I'm gonna use the word guarantee. If they really did a study, interviews of these men that they saying are single and lonely, it's that social skill thing. If you look at a lot of guys who call themselves incels, it's really the social skill. Because a lot of them just have trouble getting along. They think they have a good personality. Or look, hey, that's another thing too. The personality piece. Anytime guys put that down, it's like, okay, they don't understand social skills. Because even when there's some guys talking about money and status, or they say it's just looks, money, and status. Oh, personality don't matter. All that is bait. You still gotta talk to them. Yeah, you might have that nice car and everything. Oh, and shoot, you might have that blue mark by your profile on whatever social media. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Can you sit and have a conversation with that one? Can you really get along with someone? And that's why. Because even with players, one thing I said about them, they even just cool people. They're just cool people. And when I say cool people, because somebody say cool people, it's look, you can talk with them. They got social skills. Because here, the reality is this. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care what you got. I don't care how tall you are. You still have to talk. You have to communicate. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts. If you're talking about having sex with that woman, being in a relationship, going on a date, boom. That's why, you have a common phenomenon. Two people might meet. They might even meet online. So everybody's saying, oh, it's online, it's online. Okay. All right. You swipe right, she swipe right. All right. Y'all talk or communicate or usually just text. I'm going to say something about that text thing in a second. But usually just text each other and decide that you're going to meet. All right. You meet on a date. Nothing there. Nothing there. It's like y'all not really talking about anything. Y'all barely talking. She in her phone. You sitting there might be trying to talk to her, but you're not interested. Shoot, and she might just say, oh, I just got this text. I got a family emergency. Let me get out of here. Boom. And speaking of the text thing, I've talked to a lot of younger ladies. They say these guys just want to text. They don't want to talk. Understand something. It's that communication. That's why you get some guys, they might not look like some fashion model. And they might have just enough money just to like get a roof over their head. And definitely don't have status, yet they got women. But some people call it a mouthpiece. No, they can just talk. You know? When you talk about, I got a series on Rom TV where I'm talking about dealing with dimes. A big issue with them is a lot of guys are scared to talk to them. You still gotta communicate. What y'all gonna do? Sit there and stare at each other? In fact, I knew this guy because I knew both sides of the equation. This guy went on a date with a very beautiful woman. She complained because she said the whole time he just kept saying, "You're so beautiful, you're so beautiful." She couldn't stand the guy. She couldn't stand the guy. She got with me though. We were just talking. Seriously, I wasn't even trying at first, and it took a few months. But all we did was just talk. You know, and that's how important it is. Like I would tell any guys, okay, how are you engaging socially? It's more than just talking. It's how you reading the person, how you reading the social cues and stuff. Now I know some guys, and I've had some guys when I've talked about this before. You got a book on it? No, here's the best way. I wouldn't write a book on it. I wouldn't write a book. Get out your left brain. It's not a 1, 2, 3. Seriously, it's not a 1, 2, 3. Like I had somebody recently leave a comment in an inappropriate place, so I realized this young man had some social skill issues. Like, let me just say something real quick. Don't ask me any game type of questions on my Sunday videos. I will delete it. Seriously, don't do that. My Sunday videos, that's inspiration purely. It ain't no game or anything. It's purely inspirational. Respect that day. But that was a social skill issue to try to ask some game type of question. I was like, no, don't do that shit. Because part of a social skill is knowing when to say something, where's the appropriate place. You ain't gonna be talking about some orgy or something in church, are you? That's part of it. You ain't gonna go to some church, you in a church service or something, you talking about like some orgy or something. Now, if you at a party, and then if you at a club or something, or, you know, party, everybody dancing, you know, drinking, dancing, whatever, just having fun, laughing, you ain't gonna get into some serious religious issue, are you? That's part of it too, knowing when and where. Now, here's the lesson. You can't really read that in a book. The only way you can really develop social skills is to get out and engage, especially with women. That's why the free game, I say, look, start out by saying at least hi to 3 different women a day. And just hi. And some of them going to say hi back, some of them going to ignore you. But as you do that, you develop it, because then after a while, you can develop into small talk, random conversations. And then what you're doing is just developing the skill. When you have a chance to actually have a conversation with a woman, you'll figure out, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't talk about any psychological issues I got. You'll figure it out, because it's like, oh, you engage this woman. Every time you engage a woman, okay, what were you talking about? Boom, it's practice. That's the only way, practice, practice, practice. But see, a lot of guys come up with some stuff, or you thinking some stuff, you don't know. And then talk, hey, like even the high piece. You can say hi to a woman, she might have a wedding ring on. You ain't trying to get her. She could be physically ugly to you, or she can be beautiful. You don't limit it. You get to the point where you're personable. And don't say that, oh, well, you know, I'm introverted. I'm introverted too, and I can talk to anybody. I am. Introversion just means your power comes from within. But if I see somebody, I can still be polite. Sometimes just being polite, sometimes like, oh, excuse me, something like that. You know, that's how you develop it, through experience. But see, that's hurting a lot of guys, because we live in a culture. I'm gonna tell you what, part of the issue is the culture we live in. People don't have to engage. People going on dates, they in their phones. I mean, come on. If you're on a date, man, I will say this, if you go on a date with a woman, only reason you need to be in your phone is if somebody calls you. In fact, I would say, look, here's the thing. You go on a date. If you got an emergency call, put it on Do Not Disturb, allow calls that are from somebody you know might have an emergency, somebody close. Other than that, stay off of there. It's just that simple. And focus on the person. Even if on a date, even it's not even about sex, focus on the person. Because really, when you on a date, you getting to know the person anyway. You seeing what type of social skills they got. And then if it don't work out, it don't work out. Hey, you know, you have a nice evening. Okay, fine. You know? Get used to talking in the real world. And if you got a woman, right? If you got a woman, you meet a woman, even if you meet her online, only texting y'all need to be doing is like trying to figure out where you're gonna go and say, okay, go ahead. Seriously. Because I don't get into long text, even with friends. I don't get into long text. I'll be like, I might text a few things and I'm like, okay, let's meet here, let's talk here or something. Well, if it's that important. Don't really like it other than for that. You know? You gotta learn to talk and you gotta practice. It's no magic. And then what to say, what type of conversations to bring up. Like somebody recently, same person who did the inappropriate statement on a Sunday. Yeah, it was inappropriate. Don't ever do that with me. Want to know, well, what kind of conversation? I don't know. Every woman is different. That's why you practice. Because I'll say this about myself. I can talk about anything even if I don't know anything about it. Because if I meet somebody and they talking about something I have no idea about, that's part of the conversation. Because I'm like, hey, never heard of that before. What's that about? Boom. And that just comes from practice. Because I'm naturally curious, so I'll ask. And then let me give you the game with that. If you asking, especially a woman, about something that she has some expertise in, she feels good. And you just sit there and say, listen. Because part of social skills is learning to listen. But you can only get it through practice. Practice. You know? You gotta get out there. That's why I tell, even on my Patreon, I tell guys, get out there. You gotta get out there. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. You gotta engage. And if you worry and say, well, they might say this, they might say that, you got bigger issues. And I don't have any tolerance for a loser mindset like that. If you're coming up with excuses. I'm just being straight with you. I don't have time, I don't have tolerance for it. And I have zero issue with cutting you off. If you're going to keep bringing that up. I have zero tolerance for it. Because you got, I mean, let me just say something real quick. You got all these guys out here single and everything. I mean, I saw something on CNN, a brief segment. The gentleman talking, he said, shoot, that affects the economy. So it's a major thing out here. It's a major thing. And I know some guys say, yeah, these women ain't being right. Oh, well, it takes two to tango, yeah. Take responsibility for what you bring. All right? So, anyway, that's all I have. But get out, y'all. Get outside. Just talk. You know, just talk. Develop your own style. That's the only way you can do it is to practice. So, that's it. So, anyway. That's all I have for today. Well, for right now, I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.